Well, hello there and welcome. My name is Kylie Patchett and I'm your host, and welcome to the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast. This show is all about sharing the real and raw stories from women who have undergone midlife metamorphosis, taken a leap of faith, or broken the ties that bind them in patterns of staying stuck, small, and like their needs don't matter. You see, I believe that the years leading up to and during menopause are a rite of passage, a deep invitation after so many years of giving our time, attention, and energy to others to carve out the same time, energy, and attention in ourselves, in our health, our love, our connection, our vitality, our purpose, our real needs and deep desires. You know, those ones lying dormant underneath all the duty, responsibility, pushing, striving, and achieving of our 20s and 30s? You see, at this stage in our lives, we find ourselves shifting identity potentially, no longer caring as much what other people think, and left wondering why on earth we have not given ourselves permission to do life in the way we truly want to. In this show, I speak to the women brave enough to truth talk their own midlife shedding skin stories, and the healers and helpers who help them transition through these crossroads of change. This is the midlife magic you didn't even know you needed, and I am so freaking glad you found us. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful people. It's Kylie, obviously. Before we dive into this episode, I wanted to give you a little reminder that if you haven't already listened to it, episode 33 is actually me sharing a bit about my own mental health / mood journey in perimenopause, and how it has woken me back up to the fact that I had quite forgotten to look after some of my really basic human needs. Like, I don't know, good sleep hygiene, making sure I was eating regularly and my blood sugar was even, and taking time out to have fun and to rest. And yeah, if you're anything like me and you're finding that the perimenopause symptoms are buffeting you around a little, then I have created something very special for you. It is a 55-page, yes, it kind of grew, 55-page guide. It's full of really simple, straight talking, back to basics self-care for perimenopause and beyond. It includes information about what you can expect with perimenopause and the biology behind the changes. So if you're a while owner like me, that's really cool to understand. It's got the back to basics self-care anchors, which will allow us to navigate perimenopause, the roller coaster, with a little bit more of an even keel. I've also included the bullshit stories which stop us taking care of ourselves, particularly when our perimenopause symptoms make us feel just not like ourselves, right? And also an invitation to become more gentle and more self-compassionate towards ourselves. So if you're like me and you have been, in some stormy seas lately, please take advantage. This is a totally free guide. I just put together all of my years and years and years of holistic health and mindset and mind, body, breath, wisdom into one 55-page guide. You can grab your free copy on the pod page, which is www.kyliepatchett.com.au. All right, let's dive into the show. As always, I start with a little boogie. Good morning, good morning. I have a real treat for you today. We were just reflecting that although we've known each other for quite some time, we actually have not spoken all that often, but it's a very cool thing to have Sara Brooke in the studio today. How are you?
I am smushy and good. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Smushy and good. We were just talking before we started that, yes, sometimes when we are not feeling super, super duper normal, in inverted commas, in ourselves, we can feel a little bit vulnerable. So thank you for taking the time to join us. Do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners, however you feel called this morning?
My name is Sara. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, and I work with women and men going through transition a lot of the time, actually, that are on a Yeah, probably an inward call to really discover who they are. So I really love with working with people, and they tend to come into my field when they're really ready to drop more deeply into their authenticity, to discover, who they truly are, kind of beyond what they've been up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
I often get people when they're really wanting to tap into more of their creativity, their power, their truth. But really, I mean, many years ago, my business, I've realized this morning actually, has been around for probably about 13, 14 years. But I was like, oh, that's interesting, that number 13 being the number of the feminine. But the name of my business, The Space in Between, came to me in the middle of a dream. Like I literally went to bed and I was coming up with all these names. And when I look back at the names that it was going to be called, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just got literally woken up in the middle of the night. Been told it is the space in between. And
Beautiful.
my God, have I been schooled on that energy forever, ever since running my business. But when I look back on that, I'm like, it's perfect because it's also like the womb. So I often work with women that are needing womb healing, or they're going through that transitional time, or different rites of passage through the cycle of womanhood. And I do work with men. I mean, I'd love to work with more men, but it has kind of been more like 90% women.
Yeah.
And a sprinkling of men that are really ready to kind of open up their hearts and go on a similar journey in their own authentic way.
It's so funny, isn't it? It's like a sprinkling of men brave enough to go there.
Yeah, no, and it really is, because a lot of the time it's big heart initiations, and it's why it's such a privilege and an honor to hold space for men when they're going through that journey. But my gosh, it takes courage, particularly in our current culture, for men, and particularly men of our generations and older, to be able to soften into that.
Yeah. I had a picture in my head then as you were talking of this crab with the shell. It's like we're all these soft, gushy human people on the inside, but the masculine's been overall, talking in generalizations, I feel taught that, you have to have this shell and it has to be a particular way. And it's like, no, I want to see your insides.
Exactly.
I want to feel your insides.
Yeah.
I love how you say you've been schooled in the spaces in between, because we were just talking about this. Like, it's that the word that keeps on coming to me. I know that it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment, but the word liminal is such a big thing for me. It's like in between, it's in the chrysalis. I've got a beautiful pendant on, which is from Sarah Wilder. Sarah's around, and one side is in the cocoon and one side is the moth. Yeah. And it's like, when I put it on in the morning, I hang it up, and when I put it on in the morning, I'm like, am I out or am I in? Because that's what I feel like I'm in at the moment, is this space in between. Yeah. And it's really discombobulating, isn't it? So,
oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in that part where everything just turns to goo.
Yes.
Like literally, it's all just goo. And that's why when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so gooey today. So it's kind of, well, it is perfect, of course, that we're chatting when I'm in the goo.
Yep. I think we're goo sisters. Let's just say we're goo sisters. I keep on saying the messy middle, but I don't, particularly when talking about menopause, I don't want it to feel like a negative connotation. But the reality is there is that goo, the breaking down of the old. We're being called to burn down all the shit that doesn't serve us and doesn't work. And I feel like, Mother Nature's got her shit sorted. Like, she knows what she's doing.
100%. Yeah. And exactly what I was talking about, we're working with men. I mean, that's been the journey that I've been on, and I'm sure you have as well. And I know many women of our kind of generations going through this transitional point. It is like, oh my gosh, I was in so much of that hyper masculine stress state for so long. And it is, can I swear on this?
Of course you can. It's called Wild and Fucking Free.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was going to say fuck's in the title so I can swear, because I do love the F-bomb. It's been fucking terrifying, because it's like, oh my God, every construct of who I thought I was and what I was kind of hooked into for work just collapsing and being like, well, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. And who the fuck am I if I'm not like this?
Yep.
Because I feel like I was just saying to someone the other day, I was talking to someone who was 23, and I was saying, you're still really young at 23. And then I'm like, at 24, I was managing a medical company.
Wow.
Because I was so fucking hyper masculine and sold on the power, the authority, the good job, the being in charge of people. basically being a hard ass bitch when I look back. Like, actually, mostly a hard ass bitch towards myself. I was always very, or I would like to think I was generous to the people that worked for me or with me. But I worked 24-hour shifts, and that was just not, it was just what I did. But it was so tied up to the like, well, I'll be worthy when I do all this. And
oh my gosh. And I don't know about you, but I went to an all-girls high school, which was horrific. When I look back,
me too.
I'm like, oh my God, that was awful. But we were really programmed with, and look, on one hand, this was good, and I can see the arc of like women's initiation, but it was the program of you can do it all. You know, the underlying thing was you can do it just as good as a man, if not better.
Yeah.
So there was just this like go-getter, hungry ambition. And I come from a lineage, particularly on my father line, where there is, you know, really incredible men, but very ambitious. Yeah. Very good at what they do. But were they kind of there for their families at different times? No, because they had to be, you know, in the workplace doing the thing. So I actually realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I was incredibly inspired by my dad and my grandfather. Yeah. And that was the path that I thought that I kind of needed to do. So it was emulating that real kind of man's path. And then, again, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a real schism when I'm a woman.
Yeah. And the thing that I keep on coming home to now is at what cost? Yeah. Like we can do all those things. Yeah. There's no doubt. I think we've broken through that barrier. Yeah. We can do it all like a man. Yeah. But at what cost?
Well, my adrenals, Kylie, are like tiny little sultanas.
Mine are rock hard and desiccated.
Yeah. So my energy levels are shattered, and I know it's also because of how much I burnt the candle at both ends through my 20s, and also probably all the way through my 30s until probably around 37, 38.
Oh, me too.
When the initiations began of like, there's more to life. We're going to start hammering you.
And we're going to start serving you up realignments in your life through tests and trials and tribulations. Yeah. Let's go down some of those, because you said before you were schooled in the space in between, and you talk about when you answered the questions that I asked before interviews, like death, rebirth cycles many times in your life. Yeah. What are you called to share? What transition do you want to go down? What rabbit hole will we go down today?
Look, the main ones that are popping in are the ones that are really marked, obviously, with the astrological cycles. So definitely big ones. And I'm not feeling to go into this today, but the Saturn return, so end of like 28, that was probably around the time when I really my business started to get like some weight, where I was like, I'm not going to work in corporate my whole life. Like, you know, I'm being initiated into being the leader and actually running my own business and all of that. So in and amongst, you know, lots of relationship drama and yada, yada at that age, I'm very much, and I'll proudly say this, a limerent woman. I don't know if you've come across Dorothy Tanner's work. She talks about limerence as being like what we've been fed with fairy tales and music, that like you're going to find the one and merge with them and become completed. So it's like all about the romance, but she's like at different points, then obviously that leads you into very toxic relationship dynamics because you're in love with a fantasy, not a person.
Again, at what cost?
At what cost? And so I spent like a good, oh my gosh, a really long time chasing that and losing myself in that. So my Saturn return was very ripe for huge lessons around the father wound and chasing that, losing myself in that, just being obsessed, and so much energy on, does he like me? When are we going to meet the one? Like I look back, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've got compassion for her, but that was a really intense time when I was in limerence most of the time.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up. I haven't heard that, but
it's called, her book's called, she was I think a psychotherapist in the 70s, and she did a whole lot of research and studies on couples, how they fell in love and the cycle of love. And that's when she really realized, it's like, well, sometimes people are in limerence, they're not in love. And the limerence is the fantasy of where you meet someone and it's like you see God in their eyes, where it's like this man or whoever it is that you're in love with or in lust with is godly, like, oh my God. And then that weans off, like when all of the hormones and the...
of course, oxytocin goes... goes
like
out
the
the
shiny
window.
things fall down. It's like, oh my gosh, who is this person? But what she talks about within the arc of that, and there's a program that I created last year called Lover, and we really go into this. So women come in thinking, limerent women, oh my God, I'm going to meet my man through this, or I'm going to call in a partner, and then they quickly get schooled where it's like, oh my God, she's not giving me any rituals to call in the one. She's making me find that I am the one.
Setting me free.
Yeah, and helping me to break out of these illusions, because I'm like, this is now something that I can share with women, because it's was a spell that captured me for such a really long time and didn't actually bring me into a really beautiful, real, authentic, committed relationship.
No.
It just was a very kind of painful, toxic cycle that then, coming out the other side, Dorothy talks about, that there are limerent people. There's people that are born that have got creativity and beauty and wonder, and they look through the eyes of imagination and they see the magic in things. And when you can then channel that into life and creative projects and art, like, artists and musicians and are all limerent people that are channeling that energy into something to inspire beauty in the world. So that was my big breakthrough. It was like, oh, I can be a limerent woman and own that about myself, but not put that pressure on whatever poor human man is in my orbit.
Who is never going to
ever
able to be everything that you need him to be, because that is not what people are supposed to do for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's been a huge lesson of mine. And I think really even shattered a lot of the traditional structures of what it is to be a woman in a life, because obviously I'm now 41, turning 42 this year. I don't have kids. I don't have a partner at the moment. It's like, what is this? Like, I don't have models in my lineage. I mean, there's a couple of like little outliers and black sheep where I've come across them recently where I'm like, oh, she wasn't married, or she divorced at a time when it was like quite revolutionary to do so. So there is models in my ancestry, but definitely not in the culture, and definitely not when we've grown up in like the 80s and 90s and 2000s. It's like the ultimate dream is you get married, you buy a house, you have a family, and you run your own business, and you're like this powerhouse woman.
Which is, and this is what we were saying before.
None of that. What am I now? Yeah.
But this is the damage that those stereotypes do, is that we think we're measuring ourselves against an ideal that, even if we had it, may not satisfy us. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just another way that we are taught to be, and I'm using the air quotes, a good woman, a good daughter, a good whatever, like fill in the blank here. It's like, if we're trying to measure ourselves against that ideal, which actually isn't real, then we're always going to find ourselves wanting. And I think when you realize that it is just this ridiculous picture that someone's given to you, it's like, oh, what's the freedom on the outside of that then? Who do I get to be? Who do I get to choose? And I've got unlimited choice like that. And that's a magical place to be.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's huge. And one of the things when I'm working with women, particularly with the womb work, because women will go into their womb initiation, it's more of a calling. Like some women obviously will go there if they're wanting to conceive a child. Yeah. Or I know it's quite like a trendy thing at the moment as well. So there is a bit of a buzz around it of like, oh, I'm going to go get a womb healing. But a real authentic womb healing will take you through like your rite of passage and your initiation into authenticity. A lot of the work that I'll even do in the first couple of sessions with people is like, all right, what are your dreams, your wishes, your hopes?
Yes.
And let's check, like, let's actually douse with your body, like muscle test, how much of this is actually authentic to you versus how much of it is a program or stuff you've inherited or stuff you've picked up or something that your 5-year-old decided she wanted that's not actually authentic for you now. And that it can be very sobering for people where they're like, fuck. Yeah. Like sometimes it'll test up that none of it is authentic to them or 2%, and they've spent so much of their creative energy into this thing and wanting this thing and then wondering why it's not happening for them or why they've got the thing and then they're desperately unhappy.
This feels the same as, I feel like we're talking about the same dance that we were talking about when you said like your adrenals are rock hard.
Yeah.
It's energy creating or chasing something that isn't actually what our authentic self desires.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's so much magic in that, Sarah. Oh my God. Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode. Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about womb healing? Because yes, it is a buzzword, and I am always very, I don't know, when something becomes a buzzword, I'm like...
I know, it makes me want to just like not do it. And I've got a beautiful teacher, Sharon Bolt, and another incredible teacher, Kenneth Auvert, and I've spoken to both of them. I'm like, the moment that something becomes trendy and people want it, I'm like, I need to get off this thing. I don't want to be associated to this. Yeah. But it's tended to be that spirit continues to initiate me in the things that are popular, because it's like they also need to be done with integrity, and there needs to be the counterbalance to all of the hoo-ha that happens out there. But look, it can be difficult sometimes where I'm like, oh God, cringe, and sometimes I feel uncomfortable even kind of talking about what I do, because I'm like, please don't categorize me in that. Don't. Yeah,
so you're making me think of there's a nutritionist that has got this thing, wellness wankery, I think she calls it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I want to be like giving you a TikTok identity of like womb wankery, like the shit that the influencers
traditionally
say.
If I was like a proper Instagram womb influencer, then I'd be dancing around in my jocks online, and I'd be breathing and sighing heavily with the tantra breath, which is totally fine if that's authentic to you, but I find for so many women that I work with that is not authentic. And I've worked with women in that space that are like they're, perhaps the leader or the authority, and then they come into my clinic and I'm like, oh my gosh, who you are versus what you're showing up with online is not in resonance and authenticity. And I do have issue with that, because it just means that there's, hundreds of thousands of impressionable women and girls looking to that and going, oh my God, that's what I need to strive for.
Yeah, this is the standard. And it's not even the standard of the person who's setting the standard.
Not. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't real. This is all illusion and a distortion. So with the proper like womb healing, there's no space for anything like that. That's where that inauthenticity inauthenticity
Yeah.
goes to die. Like you get schooled. And so I actually felt them around at the start of our podcast, Kylie. It's like there's a group of, I would call them beings, but they're really just ancestors, but they're the grandmothers and the wise women. And there is like a no fuss with them. I remember when that energy first started coming in for me, I was terrified of it. Terrified. I was going through an initiation with my teacher, Sharon, who is incredible, but that crone energy is fierce, like authentic.
Don't fuck with me.
Loving, but it requires authenticity. And so when that started to come forward for me as an initiation, it started with dreams where a grandmother would come and stab me in the solar plexus. And I remember waking up and being like, what is that? And then I remember just constantly having these dreams that were so uncomfortable, but it was like this initiation into
my goodness,
power and truth and authenticity. And as a chronic people pleaser who was always living life for everyone else and doing what they wanted, and even playing the identity of like the healer who was helping and all of that, like it was brutal. So that started happening around 37.
That's not Chiron, is it? Yeah.
There's a plot for me, and I don't know if this is for everyone, but for me, I was going through a Pluto transit at that time that was brutal. Yeah. And that was when I met my teacher, Sharon, who's got a very Plutonian energy. So it was like she kind of helped to be that obsidian mirror. She's created a program called Empress and the Dragon, which is a womb recess initiation, but that obsidian energy is like the black mirror. So you need to look at your truth.
Yeah.
When I reflect, though, the womb stuff started to come in around the age of 33.
Yeah.
So 33 in Indigenous cultures is an age of initiation. It's an age apparently where the brain is then fully formed and you really start coming into adulthood.
Yep.
I, throughout my teens, had horrific menstrual cycles, like really painful migraines. And they then initiated me into working with more holistic practitioners. I met like a TCM, traditional Chinese medicine practitioner who really, she sorted out my cycle with herbs and acupuncture and just so compassionately sat with me for an hour. Like, what's going on in your life, Sarah? Like, what's actually happening? And that, you know, so it's always been the womb that has been initiating me the whole way along, but it really to then come to a space of being initiated into that to support women was I went very naively on a retreat to Mexico with an incredible shamanic practitioner called Beata Olfoldi, and she was working with some of the traditional Indigenous people of Mexico, and very naively went on that retreat in my total ego being like, oh my God, I'm going to be like, and we did plant medicine ceremonies that sorted me out. Like I died in those journeys.
I knew you were going to say that.
Months. Oh my God, there was one journey we were in the desert. And we were working with hickory, which is peyote. In its most, honestly, it was such a privilege and an honor to be on that Indigenous land with an Indigenous person serving us that medicine. We got to go off and farm and harvest our own and find it. And my button was in the middle of this very spiky bush. Yeah. And I romantically, limerence, was like, oh, it's the heart of the bush. Yay, oh, we're going to have this amazing heart experience. And I was very in my head and I was very in my ego. And so ungrounded, so disassociated that I died like 8 times in that journey. And the experience was rotting into the ground. It was brutal. Wow. When I came to in the morning, one of the women sitting beside me, because it was like, wherever we were in the circle, there was one area we were in the west, and the 3 of us, we died. Yeah. And the rest of the group had their own experiences. But I remember someone saying to me, oh my gosh, dying in a shamanic journey is a great honor. And I was like, fuck that. What? I taken heaps of drugs through my 20s and I was like, oh, this is going to be like a fun kind of psychedelic trip. No. It was a proper initiation. That was brutal and took when I then came home, it was brutal to integrate that, to go through such a indigenous spiral outside of time experience, and then to come back into my very Western life and a very Western structure of how my business was. I was teaching Reiki. I thought I fucking knew everything. It was like at the peak of everything. And I was like, oh my God, little one, you knew nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. I also knew nothing of what it actually means to walk the path with spirit. It asks everything of you.
Yeah.
And total authenticity. So in one of those journeys, the later on in the week, I sat with Madra Ayahuasca, and I had this big bucket, and the bucket very quickly, I reckon within 5 minutes of the journey starting, like it hit me really, really quickly.
Yeah.
That bucket, I had the biggest bucket out of the whole group, and I remember Beata looking at me, and I had the bucket at the end of my yoga mat, and she was like from across the room, and she's oh my gosh, she makes me laugh. I love her so much, but she's just like, Sarah, you need that bucket much closer to you. And I just was like, oh, okay. And I pulled the bucket, and then literally within seconds it all kicked in, and that bucket turned into a womb, and I got pulled into it. And that was again another death.
All right, man. I've got, so there's two people that we've interviewed so far that have also shared actually one was plant medicine with ayahuasca, and one was toad venom, so not plant.
Yeah.
But both of them talk about disintegration, like dying, and then
it's brutal.
Yeah.
And I think look, there's I think definitely, again, this is a category where ayahuasca and working with psychedelic plants is a trend. And there's a lot of like, even like Silicon Valley types being like, oh my God, I'll go and have this. And I'm actually really quite concerned by that, because in indigenous cultures, those medicines, one, they're like, why would you drink ayahuasca? Like you use that if you're really, really sick or you're preparing for death.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers, Sharon, has taught me a lot of obviously about ceremonial space and working with the plants. And I remember she said to me, anytime you're drinking that medicine, you're borrowing from your death. Like,
whoa,
you are borrowing from your death process. So for people that are having it like every weekend and don't have an awareness, or it's not hold in a proper space, there's plenty of Westerners out there serving it. They've gone through an initiation, but they haven't. Like in the indigenous cultures, for someone to get to the point of serving ayahuasca, for example, they've journeyed with that plant their entire life, like 30 years before they serve it. They've probably come from a family that's always served
multiple generations.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of Westerners have got any idea with the fire that they're playing with, or the repercussions that there's going to be for them or their lineage. When we come back to womb work, I work with a lot of women who've maybe sat in those medicine circles, and it can make an absolute mess of the womb.
Why do you think that is?
We have our physical womb, and then there's our energetic womb, which is also known as when it's awakened, the stargate of which we birth all of our self through.
Yeah. Okay.
Women that have got a very motherly energy, like myself, and you know, I'd probably put you in this category, and many other women that I know will often use their wombs to birth others.
Yep.
And then again, this is when we get into adrenal fatigue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know who we are, because it's like, oh my God, my womb's full of everyone else that's been using my womb as a birthing portal.
Yeah.
So in a ceremonial space, if the facilitator's not holding a womb space, everyone in that ceremony will go to the most open womb. So my experiences were, I remember when I started working with Sharon, she was taking me in these journeys into my womb, and the first thing that was very confronting was, oh my God, my womb is full of people. It was full of my clients. It was full of my family. And I haven't sat in many medicine ceremonies, and I won't with the big master plants, because I really respect them. But yeah, one of the big medicine ceremonies I'd done, the whole ceremony was in my womb. And she's like, the space holder wasn't strong enough, or the space holder had to really be in their masculine. So then everyone else went into the most powerful womb in the room, and she's like, and that was yours.
Oh my God, I've got what I get when I'm hearing something that's for me, this big.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, so I want to bring, so many things into this. Okay. Settle. Okay, so first of all, traditional Chinese medicine you've mentioned. Then you mentioned being stabbed in the solar plexus. Now we're talking about taking on energies of other people. And to me, that all intertwines in my experience, because when I was first learning traditional Chinese medicine and Oriental psychology, 5-element theory, which was very early in my, I knew what I was doing in Western medicine didn't sit right. Like you can't pull us apart and look at our eyes separate to our heart, separate to our, psyche, separate to I was like, this is just fucking ridiculous. How can you not see that doesn't work? So then I went seeking answers and I found traditional Chinese medicine. And one of the things that they say in traditional Chinese medicine is that the stomach and spleen meridian is one of the first to form, and it forms healthily when you have a strong, present mother or mother figure that holds the boundary of what is her and what is not her, and you learn to hold the boundary of what is you and what is not you. If you do not have a healthy maternal, I'm just going to say mother because it's simple, but I do mean mother/caregiver. If your mother is not able to meet that need for you, then you are far more likely to assume the energies of other people because your boundary is permeable. There's no end to what you will and won't do for people.
Wow.
And so when you're talking about your womb being full of people, I'm like, oh, I would just about fucking guarantee mine has got a whole freaking city in there. So and the solar plexus stabbing, because the solar plexus, like to me, they're yellow, like it's always tied to the earth element. And so therefore, like to me, it's all layers and layers and layers of ancient wisdom, right? And so when you're being stabbed in the solar plexus, it's like, wake the fuck up, Sarah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And every time, thank you for what you shared about the spleen, because every time we go and have TCM, it's always the spleen.
Yep.
Like I giggle with it with my practitioner. I'm like, okay, spleen. Like I take herbs constantly to support the spleen because I've come to realize, I mean, who knows, maybe when I'm in crone time, it will be a different story, but this has been like the big arc story of my life. It's like, who am I and who I'm in relationship to others and what's my role? Because I haven't had children in this life, but I've played the mother role for many people. Yeah. And I still want to be able to share that because it's part of who I authentically am. But I've really, again, I'm another threshold point where I'm like, how can this be done in a way that's nourishing and not depleting?
Yeah, see the cost thing again. That's what I'm hearing again. It's like it is authentic to me. Yeah. And I need to find the middle ground where I can do that and satisfy that. Yeah. Give the gift and satisfy that feeling that it gives me of that, I don't know, purpose, or I'm not getting the right words, but and also nourish my own needs.
And that's the thing, and that's where I'm really at the moment, where it's like there's no wiggle room anymore. It's like if I'm not nourishing myself, I'm finding out about it like almost instantly. And if I'm going into that slight push or force or inauthenticity, I'm getting fucking hammered on this right now. Like it's actually quite brutal. Yeah. But when I zoom out and I feel like the grandmothers that are around and that support, they're like, no, there's no other choice now. Like you have to, but because this hasn't been in my lineage, because all of the women that have come before me in recent history and all the women that I witness even within my lineage of everyone that's living, there's very sacrificial women, of mums. I've got so much respect for mums and how much they have to do, particularly in this current culture. It's too much. Yeah.
I would argue it's not what we have to do. It's what we've been conditioned to think we have to do. And I think that is so important. And I was sharing before we started recording, and I will share more about this anyway in a solo episode, but I have been deep in the valley of self-doubt and really low mood. And to me, that's connected to the hormonal changes. But I am very, very clear. I have a very strong sense that, again, Mother Nature knows what she's doing. And this perimenopause portal that I'm in at the moment, it is calling me to pay attention to my own needs. Yeah. And that's why I feel like we've just got less, well, for me, I've got less energy and less threshold for anything that costs too much for myself because I just don't have the resources at the moment. Yeah. And so when I reflected, when I was deep in this hole the other day, when I finally started pulling myself out, I was like, okay, how, like, obviously, yes, there's some hormone changes, but how am I not honoring myself? And I'm like, oh my God, it's the stuff that I was teaching a decade ago.
Yep.
In my first beautiful program, Destination Delicious. I got my book out the other day and I'm like, I'm reading my book again. Like I need to school myself. But it's all the things that women put on the back burner, like all the basic stuff, like having enough rest, prioritizing sleep, eating foods that help you feel nourished, connecting with friends, having playtime.
Yep.
And so, but we forget that they're our basic needs, and we're still trying to build this life on top of it. And it's like, if your freaking foundation's not there, you're going to be slammed down again and again and again. And I think, you know, I think there's quite a negative connotation about, you know, menopause, you know, like it's quite and I'm like, it's a rite of passage. Like we are in the fire at the moment, or I'm in the fire. You're maybe too young yet, but I'm in the fire. Yeah. And I keep on saying to my husband, just hold on. I'll be even better on the other side.
We'll come out the other side.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I will. Just be gentle with me. I mean, he's always gentle with me anyway, but yeah, I'm really present to that at the moment. And when you're saying, that's why we keep on getting slapped down. It's not because life's trying to be hard. It's because we're at an initiation point. And the more of us that do it, like you're saying, you know, there's a whole heap of people around you in your present lineage that are doing that sacrificial version of, the more that we start to actually say no to that way and yes to nourishing our basic needs. I'm not talking about anything fancy. Just your basic human needs. Then I think that, that will contribute to the swell, because we have gone from, all girls school, you can do everything, you can have everything. And I'm like, at what freaking cost? My adrenals are just about to. But there's magic in being forced to your knees again.
Definitely.
and again.
And you know, as you're talking, I'm got really clearly being shown, like, this is where actually the human collective's at as well. Like, it is time for humanity to grow up. And we've got really big choice points as a species coming up, you know, around technology and, you know, all of the things, which we don't need to really get into. But I think this maturation and how are we working in relationship to the land and balance. And, you know, I think the last couple of years have obviously been brutal for everyone in their own unique ways, but that slow the fuck down message is pretty strong.
And stop ignoring your basic needs.
Stop
ignoring your basic needs. Stop thinking that this connection, in inverted commas, that we get, you know, through social media is actual connection. Like sit in circle again, come together, go and have a cup of tea with a friend. Like that was what was really present to me after this, you know, time out of the valley that I call it. I'm like, I haven't been prioritizing sleep. I've been working a bit late. I've been getting into fear. I haven't been spending time with friends. I haven't been earthing. I'm like, oh my God. All this stuff. Louise. Okay, I want to come back to, you said about the womb and then this term Stargate, which I'm not familiar with. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
So when a woman gives birth to a child, there's obviously that opening that happens where that child's spirit comes into agreement with the mum and the dad, whoever it is, or the, you know, this sperm donor, blah, 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 to birth. So that happens in childbirth, or to create a child. Now, when we're wanting to birth our authentic self or to really embody our soul essence, that requires the womb to do that. And so we can do, you know, I mean, there's lots of people that will spend their whole lives and never open up their actual womb stargate, and that's totally fine as well. It's only a path of initiation for certain people. But the thing that's happening at the moment is that there's some children's spirits, or spirits, I should say, that are wanting to come through onto earth with clean wombs, because then they don't have to come in with all of the karma that we've had, or all of their trauma that comes through the ancestral lineages.
Well, that sounds simpler. That's a good plan. I like that plan.
And so this is why some women and men go through huge fertility initiation journeys which require that woman to really clean up her womb energetically, physically, clear it out. So there's a beautiful, loving, clear vessel for these new children that are going to come through and school the shit out of all of us, I imagine, with, their gifts. Because imagine coming in without having to hold all of the karmic transmutation that most of us born in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s and prior to that, that's been our job, clean up crew. And so my teacher and I, Sharon, will laugh about it sometimes. I was like, being a healing practitioner or an energy worker is like, we're cleaners, like really.
It's true, isn't it? It's like, well, clean up that shitty story about yourself that doesn't align with your truth.
So there's that. So when a woman then goes through that journey, and look, it takes time. I think there's a thing out there. It's like, oh, I've had one womb clearing and I've cleared out ex-lovers out of my womb, which is great.
Yes.
But it requires ongoing maintenance and an ongoing path to support that. So when I was doing my womb work with clients from probably about age 33 to age 37, much of it was self-directed. So what I mean by that is I'd be in a session and I'd just kind of allow the energies to flow and whatever my spirit team or their spirit team was directing me to do. But I did get to a point where I was like, there's things I'm missing, there's something here. And it was also around the time that in my circles and ceremonies, again, because a lot of what I was doing was self-taught and I was trying to remember something or seeing what other people were doing and going, oh, that's kind of what I'm feeling to do. Anyway, like scary stuff started happening in the spaces, not for the participants, but I just started feeling and sensing entities, darker, shadowy energies where I was like, oh my, what is this? And I thought,
okay,
I need more training. Like I actually need more training. This is getting kind of out of
I feel like I'm
my depth of experience. I had also kind of been in a space where I kept getting invited to do sacred space at festivals, and I could tell that the land spirits were not happy with me. The Indigenous ancestors were like, what the fuck's this chick doing? There was stuff starting to happen where it was like a shaking. And that, again, was where I started getting the dreams where I was being stabbed, where I was like, oh, my God.
Okay, I'm listening.
What is going on? And that was when I met my teacher, Sharon, and she's an incredible womb worker, and she really took me under her wing, and I've gone through a training with the White Dragon lineage. It's under like traditional name in like earthly reality of shamanic energy training. But I've been training with Sharon for about the last 5 years, and it's taken 5 years of constant initiation, supervision, mentoring to get to a point where I can now work with or support women of clearing some of these heavier energies that are inauthentic to them. It doesn't belong to them, but sometimes our wombs are holding on to stuff that's been moving through the lineage. Sometimes there's a backlog of spirit babies, so babies that were miscarried, aborted, stillbirths, or even like babies that were never acknowledged by their lineage, and they all sit in the astral realms waiting to be crossed over. We can hold on to ghosts in our womb. Like there can be a lot of metaphysical stuff. And when you get a proper womb clearing that clears the metaphysical womb, when all of that is cleared, you can imagine there's just this power and this pulse where you're finally free to birth your creative energy in an authentic way.
That's what I kind of feel like when you're talking about clearing out womb space. What I'm feeling like is that then this portal that can bring, I don't know whether I'm on the right track language-wise, but this is how it's feeling to me, that the ability to, receive an idea and bring it to earth, basically. Is that
definitely? And what most, and again, it's a bit like my lover container when women come in and they think they're coming for something, and then I'm like, surprise, this is what you're really here for. It's a bit like this with the womb work, because surprise, what we put in the womb is her, like her divine child self, like boom, boom, like you come in here and you get to birth yourself through your own womb. And then it gets really quite exciting and empowering, because if you've got many women who've got these activated stargates, then we get to start to birth a new reality for humanity.
Sign me bloody up, because honestly, I came from the womb of someone who constantly told me I wasn't wanted. So I would like to rebirth myself. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? What's popping into my mind then is when people are listening to this and they're listening to you talking about womb healing, what sort of things are people experiencing that can indicate, like if you have a womb full of all this energy that really shouldn't be there ideally, how's it showing up in your life? Like what's actually happening?
Yeah. Disconnection from self, inability to create, issues with grounding. And then all the way up to like obviously like big physical issues with the womb, like there might be issues with menstrual cycle, endometriosis, like all of the physical issues that women go through with period pain or all of the things. Obviously women on conception journeys having trouble with fertility. I mean, that is a very multi-layered journey, and I'll never guarantee if someone comes and have a womb healing that they're going to conceive a child, because it's not everyone's path, but that can be a manifestation where it's like, I keep having miscarriages, an inability to magnetize what you need in your life, because the womb is like that magnetic that's going to pull to you everything that you need from Earth's abundance. Obviously issues around sexuality, and a lot of that's trauma-based. If not for you, then the lineage has got sexual abuse trauma and things through it as well. Boundaries is a big one, and boundaries is a really big thing that I work with a lot of women, because that was obviously my journey. Can you set boundaries? Because when someone is fully embodied in their womb, there's like a boom boom, like a sound effect kind of does it more than me describing it, where there's a force field of, you just don't have to deal with the same fuckery that if your womb's open and porous and people are jumping in and out of it all the time, or you've got like a build-up of entities and stuff in there that is kind of taking you off path, off your authentic path. You might have issues with sleeping and dreaming, because we dream through the womb.
Oh my God, I've been dreaming like a nutbag lately. Holy moly.
Yeah, a lot of people have actually. I've been speaking to things, it feels like the dreaming and the creative lines and the new energy is really starting to flow, which is quite exciting.
Yeah. I've got an older lady that keeps on coming and speaking to me, and then I've got a voice that turns up in the middle of the night, which I shared on the podcast just recently, said to me, listen to this, it's important. And then I went back to sleep.
Oh, don't worry, I've done that many a time where I'm like, oh my gosh, go away, I need to sleep. Probably had the answers to the universe, or like
I know, right?
Or something, and I'm just like, nah, sleeping through it, soz.
Yeah, I feel like I should have. Yeah, anyway, there's so much. I feel like, to me, it's the portal of creation. So when you're speaking, I'm like, any time that you feel blocked in, magnetizing to you or birthing something that you want to.
Well, and also
that could be an indication.
Obviously with intuition and instinct. And again, I'm very aware that sometimes that can be trauma-based. So it might not be a womb healing that women need first. They might need to just go and have a really extensive cycle with a traditional therapist or a trauma specialist. And then, because that's also sometimes people will book in and I'll just get a sense, they're not ready for this yet. I might refer them on to another practitioner, or what will tend to happen is they might need to do a lot of heart work first.
Yeah, okay.
Because if the heart's open and then they can soften into that love, then it's easier to drop into those.
You can balance it. Yeah. So if you have cleared out all of this, I want to say interference. And you said before, then you have a clearer understanding of what is your authentic, or you can sense, is that right? You can sense what's your authentic needs, wants, desires.
Well, not sense, like you can feel it, because it's spelling up from like, you feel it, energetic. You sense it. And also like your external world will rapidly start to shift to reflect that.
Yeah. Freedom is all I'm hearing, because if we're chasing something that's not authentic, it's the opposite of freedom. Like to me, freedom is my highest value. So I'm like,
Yeah, and I just find that it really supports women when they are going through rite of passage initiations. If it is around that, often women will come to me when they are going through their Saturn return, or they're around that age 33, or they are around that 37, 38 or
Yeah.
40s or 50s and 60s, where it's like that threshold between girl to woman.
I'm looking down the barrel of my Chiron return and I'm like, ooh, I'm scared. Oh, because in human design, it's in the gate of shock. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake, really? Do I really need any more shock? I've been initiated through shock so many times in my life.
Well, it's interesting because someone told me about the Chiron return is also, and this might have been Sharon actually, because I know she's just gone through it, is it can be, if you've done a lot of work, your Dharma return, where you get to gather the fruits of all of the work of your wound healing that you've mastered over your life.
I'm hoping.
And there's a beautiful woman. She's trained with Mayan elders. Her name's Jen Soto, and she does Mayan readings. Jen Soto, Soto, S-O-T-O, if people are interested. Such a beautiful woman. But she will take you through your Mayan glyphs, so what you've been in the Mayan calendar. And what she said to me is that Chiron return time, so age 52, is when you really be in the Mayan calendar. It's very important, and there's a lot of mastery and a lot of gold and a lot of gifts that activate at that time. So she was always really, when I'd spoken to her about that juncture, really excited by it. This is where people, like, they master.
I turned 48. You're an Aquarian too, aren't you?
No, Gemini.
Oh, Gemini. Why did I think you were Aquarian? Weird. Anyway, just my birthday. But my Chiron return is when I'm 49. So I'm actually just a year out from it in April next year. And I'm like, whew. But I do definitely, there's a sense in me that all this burning down is for a very good purpose. And I feel like I've started to interview a lot of people that are on the other side of that. Chiron and menopause usually. And they're like, I feel like I have arrived. My life is the best it's ever been. I feel so clear in who I am and what I offer and what I will accept, and you know, that what fulfills me and all of those things. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Let's go with that version of Chiron return. I wanted to ask you, Sarah, about, because you do a lot of work with women in circles, and this is something that's really, really clear to me is, and like I said before, like the connection that we get on social media is not real connection. Can you talk to us about how you were called to do that type of work and the power of the women in circle concept? Because I'm pretty obsessed with it at the moment.
I definitely was something I was called into. It was something that it's actually, I know why you asked about the Aquarius thing. I've got my South Nodes in Aquarius, so that holds all of your past life wisdom.
You feel Aquarian to me.
And it's in my 6th house, which is the house of sacred space and different things. So
makes sense.
I know that, and obviously with different astrology readers and different things that they've said, like you've come from being a ceremonialist, you've come from being in the sacred temple. So it was always something that was very alive for me, even as a young kid. Like I've actually, the rug that I'm standing on now has got dragons all over it. It was my grandfather's rug.
Wow.
But I was older, like much older than my cousins that I would spend every weekend with. So I was about 5 years older. So I very naturally stepped into a teacher role where we would play schools. But what we did when we played schools is I would get my cousins, they're all boys, to sit in a circle, and then they would lie down and we would do journeys on the magic rug.
Oh my God, I wish I had a picture of little Sarah doing that. That's gold.
And literally that's when I feel back into it, I was like, we would go into our little vortex where the adults would be drinking a lot and be doing their thing and, having a good time and all of the things. Wow. But that's when it started. And so very quickly when I was, when I was working in corporate and partying on the weekends, recoveries, we'd be sitting in a circle. We'd be taking like not great substances and stuff, but it was the circle medicine working for sure. And then I started teaching meditation in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
And that's probably around the time that you and I probably
I still listen to your
that would have been around all of the B school times. So But what I realized, and it was only when I stopped teaching those meditation classes, I taught them for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
They were always circles. Like we were coming together to meditate, but we would sit in a circle.
Wisdom.
Our journey would drop through. We would go on the journey and then come out and we would talk about it. And I, you know, some of my fondest memories are for the women and men that came to those circles, because they were circles as much as I was like, this is a meditation class.
Yeah.
And that's why I realized people would sometimes come to the learn meditation and be like, what is this? I'm not up for it. And then the ones that are like, oh my God, what is this? I've been going to meditation classes and it hasn't been like this.
They're my people.
They were for this, they needed the circle magic. And so even before one-on-one sessions, it was always about the circle.
Yeah.
And I think now, like as you've brought up, it's needed even more so because of social media.
Yeah.
Because of everything that we've gone through over the last few years, like people are hungry and needing that space to be seen, that space to be authentic, that space to express what's truly within them and not to have it be fixed or healed, but just the witnessing and that permission to be human that happens when we're in a circle, and just
sharing our stories,
the wisdom that can be cultivated. So just quickly orbiting back to the womb, when the womb's open, it becomes an oracle. Like we can receive gnosis and information and messages. And so when you're in a group of women that are in their womb space, the magic that can be shared and expressed. Like I'm always in my containers or ceremonies, I'm like so excited by the alchemy of what someone's going to say in the space.
Yes, exactly.
Like, okay, everyone was here to hear you say that thing. They're not for me. I'm just here as this like I've booked the space, I've done the thing, but let's just let the magic of circle take over.
What the words that always come to me and are coming to me again is just I remember, and it's like this is the women in circle. Like we know already everything we need to know.
And our bones, our blood, our DNA, we remember.
I remember. So strong. Oh my goodness. I could ask so many more questions. I'm going to have to behave myself. I don't want to behave myself. It has been absolutely glorious reconnecting with you. And it's so beautiful. Oh, actually, we didn't share that story. Just quickly, I had a reading with Sarah. We just decided it was just as I was deciding whether to close my business or not. And Sarah reflected back to me, you were still like really in your like, you know, business coaching kind of mode. And at the time, your reading was all about come back to the basics of women's wisdom and holistic health. And at the time I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. I'm just going to leave that there. And it's so funny that here we are having this recording just after I've had a really like such a clear knowing that that's exactly where I need to be again. It's just back to basics, nourishing ourselves and making sure that women actually, I think for me, the key is listening and responding to our basic needs. Not the super fancy stuff, just the basic needs. Like, you know, and there's so much power in that. And to me, that's I remember. Because, you know, no woman on the planet 2,000 years ago was worried about checking a freaking Instagram and running on the highway to
empire. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like we just weren't designed to do that. And, you know, if it not making anyone wrong, if it really honestly fulfills them. And I would also ask, does it really honestly fulfill you?
Yeah.
You know?
And it might just be for a moment in time, a season as well, and then that season will change.
Oh, definitely. The phase, I do not feeling into being the head of a medical company. Like that actually makes me feel physically sick.
Yeah.
It's just so much responsibility and like having to be a hard ass and having to be always switched on and not gentle with yourself and not responding to your needs. I'm just like, give me a bucket. Lend me your womb bucket. Oh my goodness. Can you share with everyone where we can find you to find all of your offerings? I think that I know there'll be a lot of people seeking some more info about your womb healing, but also Lover. I feel like Lover may well be speaking to some people out there.
Yeah, and look, as much as I like diminish that you can't call in a partner through that container, you can.
Yes.
But it will definitely take you through a journey
through your truth.
Yeah, of activating the inner lover. Like it's about becoming the lover of your life. Like that's really what's being seeded over those. Yeah. It's a 40-day container. We work with the Venus cycles of like really coming into that juicy womanness. There's lots of luxurious rituals that we do. Super simple though, like, because I'm not about the complicated or the complex. It's got to be simple.
We've got no energy anymore, Sarah.
And we actually do it. It's got to be nourishing and joyful. And you know, with my containers and even with my womb work, like I like to do it with a lot of joy and humor and have a giggle. So it's serious work, but I'm not like serious with how we are in it, because we've got to have a giggle. Otherwise it becomes too much. And then like, what's the point?
Exactly.
The best place to find me is my website, spaceinbetween.com.au, but I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, but mainly my website's the best place to get a gauge of one-on-one sessions and the group container work that I do as well.
It's been an absolute joy.
Thank you so much. It's been so good to reconnect. Yeah.
It's always magic. Every time, like I'm always booking interviews well ahead of time, but they always are just as, I'm hearing the messages for me. I know that there'll be messages for the people listening, and it's just like, this is part of the magic.
Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you for creating this awesome podcast too.
I'm absolutely loving it. I actually said to my husband the other day, if I could work out how to monetize it, I would just interview, like put an interview out every day, because I really, really strongly know that this storytelling and the why behind what we do and what's important to ourselves and all of those initiation, like you keep on saying, initiation, and it's all just part of the cycle of life. We don't have to fight against it, and there's nothing wrong with going through the end of a stage or an end of a phase or a dying of yourself, literally, like not literally, but
we have to die many times to be able to move through the different seasons and initiations. That we don't want to stay stuck with the psychological state of a 15-year-old. It was fucked when we went through it the first time.
Oh my God, no. Jesus, my girls have just turned 17 and 18. I'm like,
oh my gosh, the angst and the insecurity. No, thank you. But we've got that part of us in us. So this is where the rites of passage work and hearing these stories from other women is so healing and inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much for tuning into another episode, and I trust you're walking away with inspiration, maybe some chiropractic adjustments of the soul where you've realized perhaps some ways that you're getting in your own way, or something that needs to be healed, or something that's calling to you that your heart really, really wants to birth or create or step into in this second cycle of life. And if that's you, I am throwing my arms wide open and inviting you to check out all of the ways that we could potentially partner together at kyliepatchett.com.au. That's my website for the podcast, and also one-on-one and group programs in midlife mentorship, yoga and breath work in specifically designed menopause classes online, and also, super excitingly, a list of retreats around Australia that I have been blessed to partner with some pretty darn spectacular humans who also help midlife mavens through this transition point. So if you are looking for some support, some community, some tools, just a safe place to actually reconnect to who you are, what you want, and come home to your own power and magnificence, I would love to welcome you into any one of those containers. So head on over to kyliepatchett.com.au, and I will be back in your ears very, very soon.